if you haven't seen my new video on the IPS Max kit from Funnyplaying, it's their latest kit that comes with the USB-C and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, I'm not going to get too much into this kit in this video. The point of this video is to fix the problem that the IPS Max has, that the M2 has, and the original 3.0, which it's funny, original is 3.0. It's in reference to the 3-inch screen on the first one. That was the only really identifier that they had for it, their original laminated kit. Anyways, they all have a phantom touchpad issue that every time I post a video talking about this, somebody tells me that I've installed the touchpad wrong. Okay, maybe I'm not putting the touchpad on the front or in the perfect spot or whatever. That's not necessarily the issue. The issue is this little tiny guy right here. This is the component that basically runs the touchpad. And I removed it from the IPS Max kit. And guess what? Everything's beautiful now. This was the cartridge that was pretty much a surefire way to get this kit to do the touchpad thing, other than just sitting on the boot menu, the boot screen. As you can see on this menu, it does not automatically adjust the brightness. And I can open this up and I can adjust the brightness however I want. But you can see touchpad no longer works. Yeah, this is a fix that requires soldering. I mean, if you were going to be able to remove this chip, then you should be able to add the one wire to select, because again, L and R are broken on this one. If you do solder wires for L and R, at least on my kit, I've had comments where people are saying that their L and R are working just fine. But if you use L or R on this kit, for me, if I were to solder them, just tapping it like that would not only stretch the screen for GBC games, but it would open the menu on a tap, not a hold. And it's not supposed to do that. On Funnyplaying kits specifically, it's only supposed to open the menu holding select. It's never been pressing all three at the same time. That's a high-speed Edo thing and another other companies thing. Funnyplaying does it with only select, just pressing and holding select. That's how they open and close menus. Anyways, I don't have LNR select or soldered anymore because it's broken. And if I wanted to play a game that used L or R, like Metroid, then every time I would press L or R, the menu would pop up instantly. So that's why I don't have those soldered anymore, but I can do everything through select. It's fine. Not really, but it's more playable now, which is good. But like I said, this is a problem with all of Funnyplaying's laminated kits. And it's not just me. There's other reports of other people having the same issues. And I got three or four kits of the 3.0s originally when I first reviewed it. They all had that touchpad issue, some worse than others. And I tested multiple different ways of doing things. This one had it when I got it. This one had it when I got it. I've sold a couple other Game Boys on my website, retroremaster.com, that use either this kit or the 3.0 kit. Yes, I don't recommend them. Yes, I did sell them. Yes, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But the majority of my problems with these before were the installation process more than anything. Because majority of the time, the touchpad thing was not an issue. It was so much worse on this kit than ever before. And I think it has to do something with power drop. I think wherever it went, this little chip draws too much power. And since this kit draws more power than the previous two, I think that's why it happens more often. I still don't know everything about this kit. It'd be nice if Funnyplaying could figure it out themselves and fix it. Nobody else has this issue. But anyways, and when I say nobody else, I mean no other company's kits do this for me. But let's turn this on. I wonder if I've never tested this game with this kit because it's a really new game. But I just wanted to see, since it was surefire over here, does it happen over here? I might have to get out my other game that this happened to. I don't think it's going to happen with Buck and the cursed cartridge. But I know for a fact that it worked with Pokemon Sapphire. in the PokeNav. So we'll just jump straight into the PokeNav. Yep. The second I open PokeNav, it does it. And I can completely let go, not touching anything. Look, it even opened up the menu. And so now we can see exactly when it adjusts things. I think, yeah, see, and I don't know why. It's like it's somehow connected to select. It's so weird. But anyways, it's just gonna go crazy, go stupid, go crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna show you exactly how to fix this. You've probably already seen it on screen at this point, but I did record myself removing this from the IPS Max. So if you're wanting to do it to the IPS Max, if you unfortunately bought one of these and you're having this problem, then this is the chip that you remove. And if you would like me to walk you through it, hold your hand, then it should be the same chip that's in this or similar. So it should pretty much be identical to how we're going to do it on this guy. I don't have my 3.0 anymore. I did end up selling it because sometimes I sell my own personal Game Boys when I'm done with them. Retroremaster.com/garage sale. And I'll sell them for a lot cheaper. I think I sold that one for like pretty darn cheap because that kit is just so bad. And I also cracked the shell on that one. But, anyways, I think I might still have one or two things in my garage sale section. I'm going to pop this off, and then we're going to have to pretty much fully disassemble this, unfortunately. And it is going to be this UE3 or just U3 chip right here. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to double check it. But again, if you're doing this to the IPS Max, it is this chip right here that you see on screen. This is the GitHub, the page that I found that told me how to do this for the 3.0 and the M2 kits. I was actually told about this by a commenter. I shouldn't say I found this link. I found it in my comment section. But anyways, they went in and found that, yep, it's this guy right here on, I don't know which one this is. I think this is for the ITA kit, which might be the same board as the other one. I don't know. So you remove, that's U2 on the ITA kit. And then it's this one on the 3.0 kit. And I don't, yeah, he doesn't have it for the M2 kit. So I guess we'll have to discover this ourselves, but you just remove those and you're good to go. That way you don't have to worry about trying to insulate it and then it's still happening, or cutting it off and it's still happening, because I fully removed it. I've half removed it. I've done everything in regards to the touchpad that you can do to it, and it still would go off randomly. Some things helped it, but not everything got rid of it completely. And that's what we're doing here today, getting rid of it completely. This one says 223B, and then this one 223A or 233A. Yeah, TC233A. So we'll see if we take a picture and then zoom in with my macro lens, we can see right here that it says 223B. So on the M2 kit, it's going to be that U3 one. So we can go ahead and take care of that real quick. I am going to do it the proper way, and I will remove the board from this whole setup. I don't particularly want to burn anything on the screen. So get this out of the way. Oops. And the way I'm going to do this is put some flux down on both sides here. This is going to be a little bit tricky because we do a resistor, a very tiny resistor right there. Thankfully, there's actually nothing for me where C6 is. You might have a capacitor there, or maybe there should be a capacitor there, and that's why it's going off. But I feel like it probably has something to do with the resistor more than anything. Probably needs a little more resistance. And there is a capacitor on the opposite side, C41. So we do need to be very careful here not to remove any other components other than this guy right here. I'm going to flow those, and then I'm going to try very hard to flow other legs here. I wonder if I can get underneath it, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to actually use my tweezers to push this away. Nope. And then it kind of gets in my own way here. I'm going to flip this around, see if I can get a better angle from this angle. No, I don't think I will. Just going to try heating this up. maybe hot air might actually be the play on this one. I did the first one with just my iron. Okay, I'm kind of getting underneath it. Can I just lift up this end? This is so hard. Can I get? I'm gonna try adding a little bit of solder to both sides. See if I can bridge these. But I just don't want to accidentally add solder to that resistor there. Oh well, I broke that leg off of that chip. Nice. This was so much harder than the last one. Okay, those legs are removed. Can I remove the other ones without removing that resistor? Yes. Yay, I did it. Mutilated this in the process, but that's all right. Let's clean this up a little bit. Put a little more flux down. Sorry, I'm going to cover this up to clean this up. I mean, honestly, I don't think that the resistor is going to matter too much once this is all said and done. I also really hope that there was never anything on C5. I did not notice until later. It's just so small. But yeah, that should be it for this guy. And I hope that's just the leg. I think that's just the extra leg that got ripped off. And yeah, man, that chip is so tiny. And then I will see you once I've fully reassembled this. Okay. And I had left it in the on position. But the touchpad no longer worky. But we can adjust the brightness with the menu. And then we can go into the Pokenav and it no longer goes crazy. Isn't that swell? So that's how you do it. It may or may not be easy. You may or may not desolder some other components that you shouldn't be desoldering. I don't know which ones are okay to desolder or not. I'm assuming that the components around that chip, like the ones that he has circled in, or I guess boxed in yellow, I think those have to do with the touchpad, the touch sensor. So I think if you remove them, it should be fine, but I don't know. You can probably read through this GitHub and see why he circled them, but I'm not going to bother with it. Anyways, that's about it for this video. It still hasn't changed brightness. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. It'd be cool if Funnyplaying actually cared about making a quality product, but they do not. So I'm done sugarcoating it. Just don't buy Funnyplaying products. The only thing I really recommend, other than like their old Game Boy Color kits, are great. I haven't bought a new one of those in like 2+ years, so I don't know. Maybe they've revised it and it's bad now, but at least the old stock that I still have is good. But even that has had its touch sensor issues. It's had like bad touch sensors that like barely even work, as in they don't register my finger touching it a lot of the time, and I have to make adjustments, and then eventually it works fine. But anyways, the only thing that works amazing out of the box that I've never had any issues with is their Game Boy Advance SP batteries, and I think they are actually the best SP battery out there so far. So yeah, price performance, it's literally cannot be beat. It's $9 and it actually has good battery life. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Don't buy the IPS Max unless they make significant changes to it. But even then, I'm pretty much just done buying Funnyplaying crap. Bye.